I'm Michael Giblin with Fiddlershop.com, and this is a short tutorial on the fourth violin part of the Amazing Grace group project that we have going on. And fourth violinist, come on, we need you. Hopefully this will be a little bit helpful. You can find, if you haven't, the sheet music and the click tracks. There's lots of different options for click tracks you can use to hear all the parts, or you can also choose just to hear just the fourth part, if that is more helpful. Now, when I made the recording, I used the click track, but I had one in my left ear. I have just this little Bluetooth earbud, but I actually wouldn't recommend doing that. I would actually recommend putting it in your right ear so you can hear the click track in this ear, and then you can hear your instrument in your left ear. And I only do that just so it's not distracting, and people won't write in and say, "Hey, what kind of earbud are you using? Maybe I should get that one." It's just the cheapest thing I could find on AliExpress. If you use headphones, again, I would keep the right ear can on your right ear, and then get that off of your ear. That's kind of how all the studio musicians do it. So that's the first thing. To get started, we want to make sure that your instrument is really nicely in tune, especially because this fourth part has some open strings that it's great to just play the open strings. We're using A440 as our reference pitch. And also I recommend get used to practicing with that click track. This is a great experience. I mean, it's basically like playing with a metronome, but it's also a good experience. Hopefully you'll get, recording experience or recording work someday, and it's nice to have that sort of experience. So to get started, the fourth violin part, we want a nice soft start. Even though the click track has some percussive stuff in it and it sounds very kind of just like this, we want to have a nice flowing, as the fourth violin part, this is a very solid, like bedrock. We need some just nice, reliable chord tones. What we're playing is very important, even though it doesn't have the most moving parts and it's not the melody. But we still need you, okay? Don't beat yourself up. So we get started. We want to have a little bit more emphasis on that D rather than the A. We don't want to get started. One, play. We want to kind of gradually get into it. This is it's amazing, not amazing. Well, I don't know. You can phrase. There's no right or wrong answer about phrasing, but generally we want to just start off nice and soft, or like have a soft start. Here, this C sharp. We want it to be nice and high. It's a leading tone. But really this part is kind of like an alto part. We don't get the satisfaction of the resolution. That would be nice if we went to there, but we're going down to A. And now you can use a little bit of vibrato if you're comfortable with that. If you haven't worked on playing vibrato, don't worry about it. Your instrument the violin sounds beautiful even without vibrato. And just in general, this is sort of just a blanket statement, is that we still want a nice big sound, or a nice core to the sound, even though this part isn't the solo part. It's not a big bravado part, but we want still a good core to the sound. Right, and then in measure 11, I'll pick up. That actually is that is a moving part. That's a really important part to bring out. These string crossings, actually before I talk about string crossings, I'm going to go back just real quick. We were talking about tone production, is that kind of to find that good tone you sort of have to explore the edges. And by that I mean, like, if you're playing, what's the softest you could play that, maybe that's too soft. Likewise, what's the most, like, the most intense sound that you could play? You know, but that doesn't sound good, but so yeah, we don't want to play that far, but in order to find this sort of Goldilocks, like just the right amount, we have to sort of know what's the middle of the road. So explore it, do it a little bit of time, and just pull that back just a little bit. Or if you're down here, you know, bring it up a little bit. So it's hard to know where the middle of the road is if you don't know, oh, this is one edge and this is the other edge, so middle must be here, okay? So think about that. All right, string crossings, moving on, is that when you have in measure 12, these, that might be a good place. It would make a little bit more sense if you played fourth finger, just so you didn't have the extra string crossings. But be mindful, if you are going to do the string crossing, that a lot of motion makes life harder, especially if you're doing it down here. There's a whole lot more motion. How little of a motion can you make while still using, and I know I'm doing this, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, at the same time, that we still want to use more bow. And so doing this exercise, we don't really want that sound, but that's sort of the idea of when we cross strings, we don't need a whole lot of motion. It doesn't have to have a lot of movement, because all that stuff is unnecessary. All right, let's, again, where was I? Let's go back to 12 and we'll keep going. And I want you to listen at when we get to 15. So this is 12. Oh, I'm on the wrong part. Fourth part. Here we go. Measure 12. So measure 15, that's another great moving part. This is, you know, feel free to rise up, and bring that out, because that's interesting. And that's kind of what ensemble playing is about, is recognizing, like, hey, if somebody has something more interesting than you, like, let them have the spotlight. And then when it's your turn, when you know you have something interesting, when you know you have the more interesting stuff, like, bring it out. Hopefully your colleagues will have the same amount of respect and, you know, want the best for you too. But you also have to sort of demand it. And sometimes they might not know what is the interesting part. So you have to sort of be like, hey, it's me. Okay. Yes, you sort of have to share it with second and third parts also, but you're a big part here. And then we're gonna do the repeat. We're gonna play this twice through in the recording. And I think that basically covers it. I'll play it through one last time, just to hear it from start to finish. So 1, 2, 3, ready, play. We look forward to hearing your part in the group project. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you at Fiddlershop.com.
Fiddlershop.